Call the Town of Cedar Lake Plan Commission work session of October 5th, 2023 to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan will be absent. Mr. Foreman is currently absent. Mr. Sharp.
Here.
Ms. Cesar will be absent. Mr. Becker.
Here.
Mr. Parker.
Here.
Mr. Cora.
Present.
Mr. Oliphant.
Here.
Mr. Austin.
Present.
Mr. Flottis.
Present.
Ms. Abernathy present.
Thank you. I'd like to take a moment just to congratulate Ms. Abernathy on her promotion to Director of Building and Plans. And I'd like to thank her for her excellent service to the Plan Commission over the past year or so. Thank you. Nice work. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you all.
New business, offshore, conversion of preliminary performance letter of credit to maintenance letter of credit.
Good evening. My name is Dave Carey, 13463 Beach Place. I would be asking for a bond reduction. As of today, the final coat of asphalt is in, street lights are in, street signs are up. Right now, I presently have $33,388 on a bond. Given the fact that everything there is done, I would hope that I could get a reduction.
So it's already at 10%.
Yep.
Maintenance letter of credits carry at 10%.
Yep.
So unless you ask for a waiver, that's what it's going to be rolled over at. And I don't think we've reduced letter of credits for maintenance below that in my recent memory.
You haven't. Below the 10%?
Below 10%.
Okay.
But it's a policy decision and their decision. But no, it is paid. It's a 3-year maintenance period.
How long? 3 years?
3 years.
And I've had that money there already 3 years, so it'd technically be 6 years that that money's been sitting there. Not earning interest, just sitting in an account, because I had to have this bond. And again, everything there is done. The final coat of asphalt is on, the curbs are repaired, street lights are up. There's nothing on my end that I have to do. I understand that we want to keep money there in case something fails, and I'm happy to do that to a reasonable amount.
What do you feel is a reasonable amount?
I don't know, $15,000, $17,000.
What's it at now? What percentage? It's the lowest we can
That,
get.
so he actually already has a waiver to reduce performance below its minimum, which was 25%. So hence it's sitting at $33,388.38. So that's 10%. That would be the carrying over to maintenance. Like I said, that's that 10% value. I don't think we've ever deviated from it. We've deviated from performance, but not maintenance.
I mean, what we put that money there for was for the final coat of asphalt, the street lights, the street signs. That's what we figured that money would be there for. And given the fact that that's done, I mean, it's to me, that's money that I don't see any way that we would need that kind of money to do anything there.
But that money's there for maintenance in case something happens.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
I can't see $33,000 worth of maintenance occurring there.
It'd be 3 years from the rollover date.
From today, or
That would be from your next meeting, most likely.
next meeting. Okay. Chris?
I guess my question would be how much would it cost to replace that section of road should it fail within the next 3 years?
I mean, we'd have to look at it. If there was any recommendation for reduction from the noted minimum, we would have to be, there'd have to be some basis behind why. It has to be tied to typical failure items, and if there's not enough to cover it, we wouldn't recommend it. And to be honest with you, I mean, that 10%'s there for a reason. Every other developer has to front it.
Yeah.
The odds of stuff failing is low, but that's the surety the town carries, so if there is, they have some remediation to fix it.
So, in perspective, the final, coat of asphalt cost me $21,000. I mean, I can't see the entire road failing.
I mean, we've resurfaced roads, with other developers in this room today for a cul-de-sac road with, 15, 20 lots. And it's been done recently.
Yeah.
Granted, they did it on their own, but we have the surety there to fix it ourselves if it's not fixed. So, I mean, 21,000 just for that. I mean, then there's the case if we have, because we will do final inspections when that 3 years is up, to do final inspections on all utilities, underground, above ground, lighting, everything. So if you say no, then we're gonna pull on it at that point and fix it. So if for some reason the remaining lots are destroying the asphalt, then we're gonna do that. If we knock the light poles out, we're gonna do that. You name it. The money goes quick.
You're preaching to the choir.
I know. That's the reason it's there. We used to have a minimum, the maximum reduction for performance used to be 10%. We ran into trouble. That's why it's at 25%. So there have been modifications of this over the years, and it's been said at this for a number of years. I don't think we've changed 10% maintenance. I think it's been a subdivision ordinance since its creation.
It has been, actually.
Commissioners have any comments?
It would be hard.
I think it's, the 10%'s there for a reason. I think we need to maintain that 10%. I understand that, odds are not a whole bunch is gonna happen there, but if it does, who knows what? We need to have money there to pull, so it doesn't cost the town. So,
And the way the costs are going up, anything could happen in 2 or 3 years.
very true.
The 21,000 might be 40,000, so. No, I hate it, I understand exactly what you're going through, and it's, we have to protect the town.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2, Centennial Villas, extension of preliminary plat, owner Cedar Lake Development LLC, Wicker Avenue, St. John. Petitioner Olthoff Homes, 8051 Wicker Avenue, St. John. Vicinity of 13830 Parish Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a preliminary plat extension for Centennial Village, Unit 3.
Good evening, Jeff Yatsko, Old Toff Homes. We're just seeking a 1-year extension on the primary plat for Centennial Villas. We've already platted phases 1 and 2. We've got 1 phase left. The utilities are in, we just chose not to pave it this year. So we'll finish that next year as phase 3.
How many lots are in it, approximately?
In phase 3?
Yeah. 20?
I want to say maybe 12, 14.
They're duplexes, right? So,
They're all duplex.
yeah, so 20 plus units remaining. The connection into King Street, effectively, would be that last phase on the north side.
Well, it's all set to be paved though, right?
We still have phase 2 that we're still building out. So,
Yeah,
we're going to miss the
only
window
for a
now
year.
this year for phase 3.
They're not going to be final planning in time before it expires. It's really ministerial. Same thing we did for Lakeside.
So when would you're asking for a year extension, when would you pave it then?
Probably in the spring next year.
So, start of the season, you would get it paved.
Yeah, I'm okay with this.
Rest, everybody?
You can't commit to that because you don't know what the supply chain is gonna be
No.
doing next.
Well, yeah, but I just want an idea of when you just plan on doing it.
If you get material and everything.
In the spring or fall, you know.
Yeah, this is the development that we're tied kind of with Beacon, so I know they just
Yeah.
kind of finished their roads up in that area. We've got our roads pretty much finished in that area. We'll all kind of complete that all as one in the spring, I would think. So,
Okay. Yeah, I'm all right with it.
Yeah, I'm good, fine.
Yeah, we're good with it.
Just to give you an idea, their preliminary plat expires October 20th, so when you extend it for a year, it'll be October 20th, 2023.
2023, October 20th, okay. Thanks, Ashley.
Okay.
all right, sounds good.
Yep, thank
Or
you.
2 weeks.
All right, see you later.
Number 3, Harbor Street, formerly Silver Meadow, preliminary plat for a 98 lot subdivision and rezone, owner petitioner Diamond Peak Group LLC, 1313 White Hawk Drive, Crown Point, vicinity of 9210 West 155th Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting preliminary plat for a 98 lot subdivision and rezone from agricultural to PUD. Hi.
Good evening. My name is Michael Herbers with Diamond Peak Group. With me, I have Mr. Bassino with DVG and Mr. Anderson.
He's here.
Oh, there he is, sitting down with Anderson and Anderson. At the last study session, you had the pleasure to speak with Rick Hemphill, one of my counterparts at Diamond Peak. Unfortunately, I was unable to make the meeting that evening, but from what I heard, he did a good job on portraying what we're looking for at our Harvest Creek, formerly Silver Meadows development.
Now, why did you change the name again?
We actually have been receiving a fair amount of phone calls asking if it was a 55-plus community.
Oh.
But not that we're opposed to 55-plus. I mean, we are, we do build for all shapes, sizes, and different. So we decided, for the future of this development, it would make most sense to rebrand the name, just so it doesn't throw anyone off at first glance or first hearing. I do know that DVG has been working diligently on getting the plans back and forth with, revisions made with Mr. Oliphant. I know that the main topic of the last meeting was requesting a reduction in size for a certain percentage of homes. So Mr. Anderson has changed the PUD agreement to state a maximum of 20% will fall within, that smaller footprint that Rick discussed at the last meeting. I do know it is in Attorney Austin's hands. I do not believe that he has gone through it just yet, but, we are looking for feedback regarding that, just so we can keep moving forward for, our primary plat approval.
That was a flat number, wasn't it?
20 strikes me, and I thought there was something in the information package here that said 20 homes.
Just 20%.
Well, yeah.
20%, is that what it was?
Yeah, so there's 98 homes, so we're,
Okay,
18,
Okay.
20 homes, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
So, and again, we're perfectly okay with that, we're not looking to build a full community of a smaller footprint home. Again, we just want to be able to offer a more cost-effective home for a lot of the patrons, so.
The younger people.
Younger people, correct?
Like you?
Yeah, like me, thanks, Greg. Our sidewalks makes
Pardon me?
They did, okay, sidewalks, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You're talking about sidewalks along Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on there now.
How many different models are you gonna have? Are they gonna, it's not gonna be like row housing?
No, so right now we offer between 8 and 10 different models. Each one of those models have 2 or 3 different elevations. So technically you could put 2 of the same model next to each other and, you pick elevation A versus elevation C and it kind of completely changes the front of the home. So, yeah, we're very keen on the anti-monotony. We don't like to drive through our own subdivisions, see same home, or same color. So we do, one good thing about having in-house sales staff as well is that we can steering's not the right word, but, you know, guide our clients into, okay, well, you know, Mrs. Smith over here is building this red ranch, you know, we're steering away from any sort of red ranch next door to her, so we're looking for a, call it two-story blue home or what have you. So, we are very aware of, you know, the monotony and anti-monotony clauses.
Is there any way we can get something in the PUD, in writing, something about that, or in
Absolutely,
case it changes hands or?
absolutely, and you can count on me marking this up to reflect that.
It might be in there already, don't quote me on that, but yeah, we can make sure that that's in there.
I read through it, but I don't remember if I seen that in there or not.
I can't remember, that was part of it, so. But your homes are mostly unique. I mean, I like that, There's different styles.
Well, you had a mock-up last time.
Yeah.
With different homes when it was talking about decreasing the size a little bit.
Yeah.
We wanted to keep it under 500,000, so we reduced the size, that's right.
Well, yeah, it's, of course, like you guys mentioned, you know, with cost of material and just supply chain, it's, who knows what tomorrow brings, unfortunately. So, of course, rising interest rates and no one knows where those are going, I mean.
Empty concrete trucks.
Yeah.
I got no problems with none of this.
No, it all sounds good, Sounds like you listened and you adjusted, and that's good.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
So it's getting Mr. Austin's good graces once we get the PUD revised and
It's a bad
marked up.
phrase. You're in the wrong venue for that.
And we just need to get through the comment letter,
Okay,
so it'll be a heavy lift for 2 weeks. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
okay.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
I know how I feel when you say marriage.
No, don't start.
I do it pretty often, too.
Are the PUD public hearing and the subdivision plat public hearing being advertised for the same time, same night, simultaneous?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll need to have you know this, a development agreement and the ordinance with certification, so I'll get with you on that.
Okay. What do you got for next meeting?
Is it advertised for the next meeting?
It has not been advertised yet,
I
no.
wouldn't advertise it yet.
Okay.
There's a lot to do here.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Item number 4, Bugaboo Subdivision preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision. Owner Creative Thermal Restoration LLC, 332 East 125th Place, Crown Point. Petitioner Don Fry, 332 East 125th Place, Crown Point, vicinity of 13315 Lincoln Plaza Way, also known as 109th and Broadway. Petitioner is requesting a preliminary plat for one-lot subdivision for existing parcel. Do we have a petitioner?
Don't see him.
This was requested as part by the town, partially to clean up this site. There are unfortunately 2 addresses on this property, so we asked the petitioner to go through the one-lot subdivision process so we can kind of clean up this area. The process that the town's been doing for some time in this particular road.
And he was okay with that? Yeah, I'm sure he would be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any reason, anybody know why he's not here?
He was advised to be here tonight, that he was on the work session agenda to get review comments back from you to see if he'd be on the October public meeting. I can reach out to him tomorrow and find out why he wasn't here, but He did not communicate not being here to me.
Was this advertised for the public meeting?
He's not gotten me any public advertising back yet.
But the request for the subdivision was from the town for cleanup, and he's cooperating.
Correct.
What's he gonna do that for them? He said, okay.
He will be at the BZA next week for some additional developmental variances in conjunction with cleaning up the property.
So ask them to be back here in a month, the next work session.
Yeah, November's. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. So he'll be here in November then for this? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, come to the work session next month.
October.
Okay.
The BZA items will be completed, if they're developmental variances, and you'll be farther down the path.
What is that, the old dentist office?
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
Business is operating there, isn't it?
Yes.
That
He's doing,
that approval happened here also at the BZA.
Yeah, it was more of a correction facility, you know,
right, the tattoo shop, right.
I remember now.
Okay, number 5. Dudley Concept Plan. Owner petitioner, Robert and Joanne Duty, 3625 Worth Road, Highland, Indiana, vicinity of 12721 Klein Avenue. Petitioner is presenting a concept plan for a 2-lot to 3-lot subdivision. Take your name and address, please.
Sure, Robert Duddy, owner of 12721 Klein Avenue. The wife and I purchased this property back in 2017. Previous owner had created a preliminary 3-lot subdivision plat, and actually went through town preliminary council meetings. It got a Burke review back then, and you know, it actually was less than a 2-page of comments back from Burke, which was surprising. But so we're just kind of looking at kind of re-energizing this possibly. We had a quick meeting a month or so ago, and I guess what we're trying to understand with this 3-lot is with the new zoning ordinance. I think there's some new requirements added as far as municipal requirements for a 3-lot as opposed to a 2-lot. And also with current costs and economy and everything going on, we may be selling the existing front duplex unit on Klein Avenue to afford pursuing the 2-lot then subdivision on Lee Cove, on Lee Street. So just trying to get some insight and input. If we were to go ahead with a 3-lot as opposed to a 2-lot subdivision, and if there's any questions or comments regarding.
Are there still structures on this property?
Yes, it's a little over 2-acre property, and it has frontage on Klein Avenue, just north of the roundabout.
I know where it's at. There was some
And then
houses that were almost falling down back there a few years back.
No, the only structure is an existing duplex on there. And there's no other structures.
Oh, this is further to, it's on the other side of what I'm thinking about.
It's literally, 128, we drive right in.
I know what you're talking about.
And then the east,
road down there.
yeah, the east parcel faces Lee Cove.
Okay.
So there's frontage on Lee Cove and on Klein. So in our initial comments, you know, with it being a 3-lot proposed subdivision, I believe the current ordinance is we would have to then do road, street, municipal improvements on Klein Avenue as well as Lee Street. And it just would seem rather excessive to have to do that. So if that would be, if it would be permissible just to do Lee Cove and Lee Street upgrades where the 2 new lots would be going and facing, you know, we may be able to, you know, expense and afford pursuing it as a 3-lot and going that way. If not, I think we would have to then cut the property in half, sell lot 1 with the existing duplex, and then just pursue a two-lot, subdivision on Lee.
Well, you'd have to split those lots, running from, you have to split the north from the south on those lots, right?
Correct, and there's like 11, way back when, there's like 11 original lots that are all compromised into this one parcel. So we would have to then, I guess, pursue, a new legal separating it in two to sell the front existing duplex on Klein, to another entity, and then use those funds and everything and just pursue a two-lot. But if we could keep it all together, we wouldn't mind trying to pursue that, but we just don't feel it's prudent to have to do sidewalk and streetlights and curb and everything along Klein Avenue where there's nothing on Klein Avenue now existing in relation to that. And I think the setback there in Klein is so far set back, they just repaved it, or in the process of finishing repaving it, it would be set back even quite far back from where they just repaved it. It would be kind of...
How big would that, parcel be on Klein? 10,000?
Yeah, that would, be a pretty good sized parcel. It'd be
40 by 175?
Yeah.
40 by 175?
140.
24,500.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
24,500.
Is what the total parcel is right now?
Yep, if for this lot one, that would be the square footage.
Yeah.
That front lot on Klein he's talking about, not the whole property.
So what's the width of the property?
141.
140?
140 for the front lot, 160 for the rear lot, for a total of 300 from Klein to Lee.
160 for the ones on Cove? Is that the,
On Lee,
or Lee, I mean? Yeah, yeah.
So on Lee, we're proposing two individual lots of about 87.
$87 wide.
Correct.
87 wide by 160.
Right.
So that southern parcel on the Lee Cove part, the, 53 by 180 parcel, that was part of the original Lee Cove subdivision? Am I seeing that right?
53, but...
You're basically the southeast parcel, kind of no lot numbers are on that one, but it looks like it's part of the original Lee Cove.
You're looking at the 63.97 by 100?
Maybe.
Was that what it is, Chris? 63? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, kind of
I've got GIS.
Yeah, this is that bottom southeast corner one, yeah, that guy, the green block.
Yeah, so what's that line there in black is our whole...
Was this originally part of Lee's Cove?
No.
It wasn't?
No, Lee's Cove is here, and then there was like a...
Well, Lee's Cove's here.
Yeah, sorry. But, yeah, so here's Klein, here's Lee, so this is our property, and then there's vacant land here, it's kind of landlocked.
Yeah, okay. But it's funny, Lee Cove's right-of-way kind of goes across your frontage a little bit, like it extends in front of that, like 64 feet of right-of-way. So they've actually already improved some of it.
Correct, yeah, and in the previous owner's proposed plat that he submitted to Burke, they had a pretty good setback there. I think it was 50 feet. Well, building line was 50 feet, and they were widening Lee Street all the way to the north corner of the property with new asphalt, curbs, storm.
Dave, who started that? Was that a Bruce Young thing?
Yes,
He had this piece too?
I think so.
Is that right?
I don't know, the gentleman I bought it from was Mangle, and he was working with the surveyor he was working with was Marinus. But, I met recently, well, in 2018, I think I met with DVG and I met with, Kroll to get some new quotes and estimates to revise it, bring it up to date. And, we haven't pursued it until now, so we're just looking at, if we go back into it, pursuing it with now new ordinance guidelines and everything. That's probably the biggest question, is the 3-lot requirements of improving both frontages.
I'm not aware, is there really a requirement in the new ordinance that is limited on lots? I'm not aware of that.
I think if they were just cleaning up that lot and making it one on Klein is what would trigger the requirement. So the other option would be to just do the 2 on the east, kind of cutting it in half, potentially leaving that.
Looks like they got access from Lee Cove, from...
It fronts on an improved, well, partially improved street, I would argue.
Yeah, and it's got a piece of the street in front of what his proposed lot 3 is. How complicated can that be? The street's there, it looks like.
He could ask for a waiver, and you could waive that requirement.
I would argue Klein's fully improved. Unless you really want to put curb and gutter on a 175 foot stretch.
Doesn't make any sense.
Or sidewalk, because that's all ditches right there.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense to do either one of them, and it just got paved, literally,
Yeah.
end of last week.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin.
So, yeah.
So you're saying waivers sidewalks?
He'd have to ask for that too.
You would have to ask for that. Those would be the fronting improvements, especially on Klein, that would be required.
Well, if he just made a 3-lot subdivision.
It technically, I think, would trigger both frontages. It would trigger improvements on Klein, and it would trigger
Even if
improvements on...
he's not doing any building though?
It's part of the planning process.
If he's creating a plat and he has 3 lots on it, he'll want permits for all 3 lots. The one approved.
So he would have to put sidewalk on Klein and...
Technically, under your ordinance, yes.
And Lee has sidewalk. Lee Court has sidewalk up to his southeast property corner. So there, I would be in favor of extending that.
Oh, I see, yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense.
But not at Klein.
No, I think the chance that sidewalk ever gets put in there would be rare. You wouldn't have right of way to put it, because you'd be covering the roadside ditch up. So you have to curb it.
How much engineering would you have to do on that, Don?
It's fun. We would need more right of way probably, and your house is pretty close to the right of way already.
Right, yeah, I'm pretty sure the existing structure's not conforming to the setback.
Probably.
I think it's 90 feet there.
It's close.
Yeah.
I think the Lee Street stuff makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it was like 28 feet.
Yeah. The other side doesn't make sense. That's one of those deals where he should get a waiver and just carry on, I think, rather than... I know they don't want to waive any sidewalks or curb anywhere, and I get it. If you can't put it in, you can't put it in.
If there are waiver requests, those should be made in the application, so you know going in what the public hearing is going to be about and what the ask is.
Sure.
Add it to the application.
You think you can get there with it?
Yeah, I think that was kind of the major direction of tonight's meeting. If we can pursue just having to focus on the Lee Street side and waive the Klein Avenue, then we could look at costs and estimates and obviously, performance bond costs to know going forward, if this is feasible for us. So, I think that's how we'll pursue it then.
It looks like it makes sense. You just gotta put a price tag on it.
Yeah. Okay. And then, if not, then again, with this uncertain state we're at in our economy, if we, do sell the front unit, the front half of the parcel, in the existing duplex, then we would just do that, and we would just end up with this 2-lot, which wouldn't have that requirement anyway, so.
You just have to come back and revisit. You're still gonna have the street and sidewalk requirement, but it doesn't sound like it's much.
Yeah, no, and we're perfectly fine with upgrading that part of that community, so. Okay.
To let everybody know before you leave, after our meeting, I pulled our zoning map, and with the update to the zoning ordinance and the zoning map, the properties are now zoned R2, and you would need to rezone as well to an RT. And that would be something you have to ask them if they're agreeable to.
I already have an ordinance stating they were RT.
But that RT zoning ordinance was before 1402. 1402 just got adopted in March.
Okay.
I'd be very surprised if that was gonna be a hang-up. You are gonna have to get a rezone.
Yeah.
To clean up like the extra parcels.
Just to,
Like
yeah.
the extra parcel.
Exactly like that.
Okay, well, that would've been nice to know in our meeting, so we'll have to step it in a meeting and discuss that then.
It's just something to throw on their application. It sounds like they're amenable to that as it was RT prior to that.
Okay, so that just seems like a formality then more than anything?
No, let's not get carried away. You need to bring everything correctly, of course. You can ask for the waiver in your subdivision plat application. The zone change is a separate application. They can be heard the same night. They can be simultaneous, like we've had here many, many, many times, and all get accomplished at the same time.
I understand. So
There's
bring the waiver
no
and
formality, however, of approval.
the rezoning and the waiver together at the same time?
Yes. Well, the waiver and the plat. It's a replat.
And you may have some BZA stuff to go through, some variances for the existing lot, depending on how your survey turns out. Like you said, you may have a legal non-conforming lot, so when we plat it, that house could be in the, I think it's in the front yard setback of Klein.
Yeah, I think it's just within a 90-foot setback.
And then depending where your rear line falls with your new plat, that may be close to a 30-foot setback as well. So we just essentially have to address the legal nonconformity of the existing structure when we plat everything as a whole. But you'll get into that once you start getting engineering.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
No, sir. I think we're good.
All right, good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 6, Railside Business Park, concept plan. Owner Hen Holdings LLC, 10702 West 141st Avenue. Petitioner Hen Holdings LLC, represented by this law, P.O. Box 980, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Vicinity of 10702 West 141st Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a concept plan for rezone from agricultural to PUD.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Nathan Viss here on behalf of Vislaw 12632 Wicker Avenue, on behalf of my clients, John, Dick, and Rob Henn. Also with me this evening is Robin Pappenheim from DVG to discuss, when we get to that point, the presentation on traffic studies and the proposed front entryway on 141st. A little bit different for me to be on this side of the lectern versus that, but that's entirely okay.
It looks the same to me no matter what.
You can make a good living from that side of the diet.
All right. So,
I'm just saying.
I appreciate that, Dave. So, appreciate everyone's time being here this evening, here to discuss a proposed concept plan for a new, exciting, I think, business commercial park here in Cedar Lake. The reason why we're at the concept plan stage right now is for a couple different reasons. Number one, we value your input, contributions, and dialogue here as we move forward to developing true value for commercial development here in Cedar Lake. We appreciate the meetings we've already had with Dave and with members of this commission, as well as with the town, so thank you for that. Second reason is we are in the midst of annexing into the town. There's the back couple of acres to the north of this property that are already within the boundaries of the town of Cedar Lake. The majority of this property is not within the boundaries of Cedar Lake. If I understand correctly, we began the process back in May with Dave and with Chris. They moved expeditiously on it. And I think as of mid-October, we should have the final publications. And it's our goal to be able to file then by November 1 our PUD proposal. So much thanks to Chris and to Dave and to everyone else here at the town for expeditiously moving that through. And we're excited to add an additional 20 acres into the town boundaries. So with that being said, what we are proposing and the map that you have before you, and does everyone have this map that should have been part of
Yes.
your packet? Yep. So what you see there is a proposed 28-lot commercial development. Right now, it is zoned agricultural, and our proposal is to turn that into a PUD. If you have that map in front of you, then what we are proposing is that lots 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 27, 28, and 1 would be the lots that would be zoned B3, and then the remainder behind that, all the way to the ball fields, would then be zoned M1. You'll also note at the front, adjacent to 141st, we've got an offset entryway onto 141st, and the reason for that will be discussed here in a bit. Now, recognizing that this is a specific focused commercial area, what you will be seeing and you want to have dialogue with tonight is seeking a couple of bits of relief from the existing M1 zoning requirements. First and foremost, each and every one of these lots is approximately, and Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe approximately 200 feet in width?
Approximately, yeah.
Approximately, each one, a little bit variance from piece to piece, but very large parcels. What we are seeing in the development world here in Northwest Indiana is that there are quite a few folks out there that actually want lots that are double the size of that, and that there are folks that are willing to purchase 2 adjacent lots and building on them. Recognizing that, one of the first things that we'd like to build into the PUD is that if we do have a purchaser that buys 2 adjacent lots and they want to build on it, they don't have to come back before you to seek a waiver or a variance between the side yard setbacks, but that they can automatically build in the middle of that lot, so to speak, without coming back to you. So one of the first things that we'd like to build into this PUD would be that waiver form to enable that builder.
Are you talking about the B3 lots or the M lots?
M lots.
Okay, so if they put 2 M lots together, what's the difference between one of those and the proposed B3 lots? They're larger too, so that would, I mean, that would make sense to me.
That it'd be allowed for both?
And it should be a B3 configuration too, in my view, if you're gonna buy 2 lots and put them together. Does that make sense, Dave, or no?
It does. I was just thinking as Nathan was talking about that could be easily built into a PUD agreement or an agreement, a zoning agreement of some
Okay.
sort.
Yeah, we'd be agreeable to both.
Plat approval, or a project approval.
Okay, perfect, as long as it meets the other side setbacks.
Yeah,
The key thing is we don't want the need for if someone builds, they have to come for a variance and then their project growth is delayed by 3 months. We want to spur as quickly as possible development here. Okay, perfect. So that was the first item that we wanted to have discussion on.
Let me ask you, how big is one lot going to be?
Yes, so each lot is approximately 200 feet wide by about 300 feet in depth. Rob?
An acre, a little acre and a half.
A little bit over an acre, correct. So they're very sizable lots.
Nathan, is the offset because the lay of the land with the railroad is at a skew, it's not straight up and down perpendicular?
It is, that is part of it, as well as the desire just to have larger lots if possible, if that's what purchasers and developers want in that area. Yep, but you're exactly right, Dave. Some of the configurations through here, we've got unique area, the back along the entire, what would that be, the eastern side is adjacent to the railway, that presents an offset angle for some of them. Correct.
That would save a lot of trouble for the BZA too, because, I mean, those guys don't wanna be sitting here.
I see 40 variances.
Yeah, that's,
Or more.
efficiency, Greg, is what we're looking for here.
Please.
Yeah. So if there's other ideas as we talk through, feel free to throw them out here.
How about parking and, or access to the baseball fields?
Pardon, Dave?
How about access to the baseball fields?
So that is one thing. For the first couple of years, that has been an ongoing question to my clients as to whether or not we can assist with some temporary parking to provide some relief for the ball fields. My understanding that long-term, we're looking at additional ball fields, but at least for a couple of years, we'd be willing to provide some relief there, once the roadway's to the back, to allow for that. Obviously, we have to work through some waivers of liability and things like that, that you attorneys like to include in things, but. All right. Next item that I wanted to discuss is the existing M1 zoning does not allow for more than 50% of the area of a lot to be covered by buildings or structure. From my client's perspective and my perspective, I think that's a little limiting. Again, as we look to what ongoing development is looking like here in Northwest Indiana, you see a lot more developments where you have overhangs and other exterior structures for storage, for placement of vehicles, trailers, et cetera, so that they're out of the elements. Our request would be that we could increase that size to 65%. From my perspective, that's a de minimis increase, but that's also a significant increase for anyone that is going to be developing and utilizing those lots and deciding to locate themselves here in Cedar Lake versus any other community in the area.
That could be a PUD agreement too, couldn't it?
It could be. Do you anticipate, the size buildings that are being built in Maryville on Mississippi Street for storage or warehousing, whatever they are over there, on combination of lots?
I'm trying to think of Mississippi Street, Dave. Where is that? Is that on the?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's
East
First
side
Road,
of 65.
First Road east of 65.
East side 65?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, I just drove through there the other day. I think that is a possibility.
Those are monsters.
Then you would probably need more freedom, more liberty on multiple lots being able to be built on by a single structure, a single project, given just the raw size of those buildings.
And I would think we would verbalize it to be adjacent lots, so it could be more than two.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yep.
We could be back in a bigger problem
Mm-hmm.
of enforcement and or use.
Understood.
And,
Yep.
I don't know, we want to, just a carte blanche blanket without understanding type agreement.
Mhm. And to that point, we are not seeking relief for the 30-foot height that's there right now. If there are folks that want to come in and seek higher than that, they would have to come back before you, but at present, that is not relief that we would be seeking to go higher than that 30-foot at present. So, to that question of looking like Mississippi Street.
Yeah, I think those buildings are much taller
Yeah.
than 30.
Yeah.
It's huge
you're
warehouse.
16, right.
Is it 30, 40, 30?
Those are monsters.
Okay, yeah.
So that is a modification that we would be working into the PUD, would be a 65% allotment versus the 50 that's there right now. Moving along then, an additional variation from the existing requirements that we see in section C here in M1 is there's a requirement that no building or structure shall be erected closer than 200 feet to any neighborhood, B1, community, or residential zoning district. We would be requesting that that be reduced to 30 feet. As we look at the surrounding community, I think it clearly makes sense. To the east, you have the differential and the separation of the railway that's there. For the majority of the western edge, you have an adjacent commercial community, and then beyond that, there is some residential, but the majority of that is butted up into woods and significant distance to any buildings and outlots. So to enable those persons who are desiring to invest and build in this community, we would request it to be able to maximize building on these lots, so we request that that be diminished to 30 feet. Another building offset that's in the M1 code but doesn't really anticipate the particular unique layout, as Dave has already alluded to, this particular development is there's a prohibition that no building or structure shall be erected closer than 50 feet to any general business B3 zoning district. Recognizing that we've got M1 that's going to be adjacent to B3 zoning, we would request that that building offset be similar to the side setback, which is actually 15 feet. And then the other modification we'd be seeking is there's a prohibition on a parking area being closer than 50 feet to any general B3 zoning district. Again, that's prohibitive here. If you look at the two lots that are going to be adjacent to B3, we oftentimes see folks that have parking lots that are on the edge of their property. If we were to have that 50-foot limitation, that eats up a quarter of that lot, so to speak. So we would request that that 50 feet be diminished down to 5 feet if they're going to put a parking lot on the edge of that particular M1 zoning piece.
Nathan, these are really important details. Are you folks going to show us a site plan kind of laid against the plat that you're showing us?
Correct. We will. Yeah, we first just want to have the dialogue here this evening. Also included in this is, one of the reasons we don't have a proposed final site plan yet, is the town has come to us with inquiry on the possibility of a well being located on one of these lots. My understanding that our well company is severely backed up, and they haven't been able to test as to whether or not we've got the water they're looking for here. So we're hoping that we can bring conclusion to that sooner rather than later, so that we can get a proposed final site plan to work that in, Dave.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's no setbacks you're potentially requesting. All of it makes sense. The only thing that you know, sends off some alarm bells, and here's the residential stuff. How many residential properties are we talking about? You guys got a rough idea?
There are approximately, I believe, 5. I'd have to go back and look at the GIS, but I believe that there are 5 located on the western edge.
Okay.
David, does our zoning code apply to unincorporated residential?
No.
Oh, these are unincorporated?
They are, they're not annexed in.
Some of them would be, yeah.
Oh, well.
Moving along, open storage. The other item, as you see in this area already, my clients are operating a thriving business right along 41 there, and we can see that they've got some outdoor storage of useful items that they're utilizing in their business. Our current M1 zoning prohibits the use of outdoor open storage unless they come back before you or the BZA and request a variance. What we are going to be proposing in our PUD is that if the open storage of certain items, such as some forms of aggregate or some forms of lumber or building materials, etc., would be stored outside, that's automatically allowed, provided that it's shielded by a 6-foot minimum screen when they initially put it in, that they don't have to come back before the BZA to seek relief for that, again, trying to be prudent with the use of government resources. So our proposal PUD is going to outline what's automatically allowed and what would require to seek a variance from the bodies here in order to have that outdoor storage. Again, recognizing that the focus here is specifically on commercial.
Devil's in the details.
Are you talking just material, or are you talking equipment also?
Equipment and materials would be allowed in outdoor storage, yes. Yep, yeah. And then our request would be that a 6-foot vegetative fence would be required. I know the code mandates 8-foot, but we'd be requesting 6-foot.
In this type of development, I don't know why outdoor storage of anything, especially if it's in like their fenced lot or whatever, they're working on it. I don't know why that's a big deal in an industrial type environment.
It isn't until it's abused.
Yeah.
It's always that example that's the problem. Because you're right, most of the time it's compatible with use, most of the time.
Yeah, and I think a suggestion there would be, you know, for certain sorts of items, say someone was storing salt or something along those lines, you know, you can build in the requirement that it has to be covered at that point, or if somebody's going to be storing recycling materials, I mean, that's something that you want kept out of sight. We can work in some requirements that it has to be covered in some form.
You're going to try to identify those types of issues on the way through?
Yes. Yeah, I anticipate Dave and I having some dialogue here based on his and my experience, so we can be as clean and articulate as possible as to what is allowed, what would require variance from this and the BZA body.
I think some of the site plan information will be helpful with that too. So we can explain it to you so you can understand what you're negotiating.
So those are the items that we are seeking relief for when it comes to the M1 zoning. Make sure I don't miss anything here in my notes. Nope. When it comes to the B3, the 2 items that we'd be seeking relief on, again, Mr. Parker, coming back to your comment that if someone wants to purchase 2 B3 lots and come across the lots that they would be allowed to do that, or more than 2 lots. Secondarily, we notate that there is a rear yard setback of 30 feet. So for the 2 lots that are adjacent to 141st, they kind of have a unique and funky layout. And when we come back, we're going to be proposing that 30 feet probably be lowered to 15 feet, recognizing the unique layout that is there. And then again, for lot coverage, we'd request that 65% would be allowed rather than the 50% that is currently in the code, so that we can maximize the use of those properties. Any questions with that? Okay.
That was maybe a little tougher for me.
Yeah, that's gonna be a sensitive topic.
Once you start encroaching on some of those busier roads, especially at the entrance, you worry about sight distances and getting less than 30, you start getting a little squeamish. So, I mean, I think we'd have to see a site plan to say okay to that. That would just be my only concern.
Understood.
Yeah, some of this may play a role in how the school expansion, school traffic, things of that nature happen related to this intersection.
That's where folks smarter than me can step up and talk about.
I got
So Robin, if you want to chat about the proposed entryway.
They're gonna have to do screening on this too, right?
I'm sorry?
They're gonna have to do screening on this also,
Screening?
between properties.
Well, theoretically,
Between the,
technically, yes.
there's rail park
Why you talk
and the
about 6
residential.
feet versus 8 feet.
Technically, it's not a lot of residential. Technically, the railroad is your buffer.
Right.
It's not.
Oh, buffer is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well, technically, it doesn't abut against, say, Centennial.
That is correct.
Because of the railroad.
And it's
a 100-foot wide right
And that is the
of way.
difference between that and
It's
New
a
Bowers
difference.
project.
Yeah.
What's to the railroad?
It's a 100-foot railroad right away.
Well, I wasn't worried about the railroad, but on the west side, is buffering required on the west and north?
Part of the west is
Well,
unincorporated.
It's
yeah, right,
unincorporated.
he doesn't have that yet.
So our ordinances don't care about unincorporated.
They care about within the municipal boundaries. And he'll plat this according to that, he'll give us a site plan based upon that. And, I'm sure you're gonna see some folks from the unincorporated here talking to you about what their concerns are.
Okay?
Good questions. Yep. We'll include that in our site plan.
Okay.
We'll come back to a couple more items that I want to address, but Robin, if you want to address the front entryway and the studies that you've been going through.
Okay, sure. Robin Pappenheim from DVG team. Regarding that last issue, I can check site distance triangles when we get to that point of wondering if that's gonna be a problem to reduce. That's something that can be checked graphically, and we can make sure we have line of sight. That's a calculation that's based on the speed limit of the road, where the vehicle would be sitting, and the various directions that vehicles would be coming from, taking into account any vertical and horizontal curvature of the road, which I don't think there is very much up there. I am working on a traffic study right now for this site. If you've driven on 141st, you've probably seen my traffic counters out there. They've taken those up tomorrow. I'm getting through movement counts with those, and I've been doing manual turn movement counts at the current middle school entrance on 141st, as well as US 41 and 141st. Once I have all that data, I'll be using trip generation methods to determine what new traffic is anticipated by this development. I'll be distributing that traffic across the network, and then I'll be analyzing all of those intersections for level of service, and the results of those will go into a comprehensive traffic impact study that I follow the NDOT's requirements for that. And that's usually acceptable to all the towns and cities that I've worked in. We use those level of service results to identify potential issues. So if something were to come back a level of service F, we know we've got to make some improvements. We've got to add a turn lane, we've got to put in a traffic signal, whatever. Those are just general reasons for how these traffic studies are helpful. When I was looking at this site, we were looking at when the traffic studies are great because they give us, qualitative look at traffic flow. They, whereas safety issues tend to be more, experience-based and what we know will work. I didn't like how close the railroad was to the middle school entrance. I wanted to get our entrance further away from that so that we have room to widen 141st and add a right turn deceleration lane. By doing that, we can also get a little left turn decel lane into the middle school, which based on my observations out there would probably be helpful. I know you have the passing blister now, but this would now provide a through lane for traffic to get by, a right turn lane into our proposed development. Our proposed development would also have an exclusive left turn lane. The offset of these intersections is actually desirable because we're reducing conflict points. T intersections have 6 conflict points, 4-way intersections have 32 conflict points. So 6 and 6 is 12, much less than 32. This should be a safer layout by doing it this way. The offset is in a good direction because our incoming opposing left turns, if you can visualize a left turner into the middle school and a left turner into our development, will bypass they'll miss each other by a couple hundred feet. So we won't have any crossing maneuvers of that type, and the left turns out of the development, the left turns are the things we're usually concerned about, are also a good distance away from each other, whatever the offset ends up being, and I think it's in the neighborhood of at least 200 feet. So the traffic study is not yet completed, but I feel confident that once it is, the levels of service are going to support the driveway location where we have it right now. It will give me a better idea of what the lengths of the deceleration and turn lanes need to be, because I will actually be able to calculate that. And so we'll design those off of those results when I have them. Obviously, coming off of the railroad, we're going to get in whatever left turn to the middle school we can get in. It'll be in the neighborhood of about 100 feet long, which is a 4-car queue roughly. From what I saw out there, that should handle 90% of the queuing that I witnessed. On occasion, I might have seen a 5th or 6th car out there in the mornings, I think it was. So that should be done in the next couple of weeks. So when we submit in November, that you'll have a comprehensive traffic study that'll explain everything that I just went over and the results and the queuing lengths and why we're designing the turn lanes the way that we are. Any questions for me? All right.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Robin.
Yep.
Just a couple other items. Other items of relief that we'd be seeking is we would be planning on implementing sidewalks along 141st. However, throughout the development, we would be seeking a waiver of the need for any sidewalks throughout. Emphasis is on commercial development and the need for walkability. I'm not sure is necessary throughout. Second item is on signage. So right now we have within our code that if you're going to have a monument sign, there's a limitation of 60 square feet. I think you've seen perhaps a theme that's already out there, what the Railside sign might look like. What we're anticipating, it's still in design phase, might be 2 separate signs, one specifically emphasizing that this is Railside Development Park, and then another monument sign that would have, if folks wanted, the 28 different lots or however less to allow those to be advertised on there as well. Again, understanding the need for safety, sight lines, and all of the above. One item that was referenced in some early conversations with the town is the need to try to direct as much heavy equipment traffic as possible, not along 141st, but instead through the existing commercial development, and definitely dedicating signage to that effect is something that my clients are willing to commit to. In terms of development along 141st, as Robin has alluded to, the improvements that we'd be committing to there would be the acceleration, de-acceleration lanes, and then the other 2 items that we'll be in dialogue with the town is going to be seeking a stormwater fee reduction to enable marketing of these lots and making them attractive, as well as we anticipate that the roadway may be put in one fell swoop, just recognizing the need to just get it done, so to speak. So we will be seeking a reduction of the need to maintain the entire performance bond, kind of in relationship to the percentage of work that's been done and number of lots that have been sold. So that'll be accompanying our request as well. So any questions, happy to entertain them, or if you think of things, as I often do after you have a meeting, feel free to direct them to me or to town officials, and they can share them with me, and we're happy to address them. Like I said, we want to keep this an ongoing dialogue and make this a commercial park that we're proud of, and I'm excited that this is really going to add value to the community.
You said you wanted a stormwater reduction fee?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm guessing that's related to the credits off the top.
Yep. The other item, and Dave and I have talked preliminarily about it, there is running through the development, it's about the proposed outlot in lot 19. You can see it a little bit there. You see those two rectangles there across the top of outlot and lot 19. The town does have an easement that is running through there. We've had some dialogue. We haven't come to any conclusion on it yet, but a part of the ongoing conversation we anticipate will be, does that easement need to be that big, or is there a way that we can shrink what that easement is going to look like so that we can maximize, again, the use for those persons that may purchase those lots, the use of those particular lots. But that's just an ongoing dialogue that we'll be having in the background.
What's that easement for?
Sanitary.
Sanitary.
Interceptor.
Isn't water
Coming
go
from
through
the
there
west.
too? Wasn't that our water one first?
I don't think so.
Don't believe so.
I think just
So we-
sanitary.
so we
Around the other
connected,
side.
Water runs up the
portion
river.
of both, the Baltimore project through there.
No, he came up from the south.
I think that's from the backside of my client's proposed development on the west
Then
side.
then it's definitely sanitary.
Yeah.
Yeah, sanitary.
And it's a pretty large, substantial easement, so to the extent we can clarify what can be done on, around, near it, would be appreciated, again, maximizing the use of these lots.
It's a deep interceptor line,
That's,
so that's why it's wide.
right.
Yeah, I'll leave that up to Public Works staff.
Is it 30 feet?
Maybe 25 feet?
It's pretty deep, yeah, I think, I think that's right.
No,
I know
the
the
easement,
steep
20, 25 feet? You know what the width is?
About 50,
The width of the
Yeah.
easement's 50?
yeah.
Okay.
That is reflective of the,
The depth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a deep.
Any other questions?
I'm looking forward to the next meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
Same here, gentlemen. We've got a lot of work in front of us. We're excited. Like I said, if you think of things that you want to communicate with, please extend them on through Chris or town folks, and they can send them on to us, and we're happy to digest and analyze them. So we appreciate it.
I think it's a great project.
Yeah, I do too, I do too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Number 7, Montessori Woods North Subdivision. Hey, gentlemen, name and addresses, please.
Frank Warren, 4044 Green Court, Cranford, Indiana, 46307. We're here, we're going to handle this.
You guys, okay if I have handouts for this, I mean.
We have a handout, a small handout to show what we're doing. And basically, we are looking at doing one of the next units of Montessori Woods on the north end. There are 2 units, one on the west and one on the east. The west one being Hess Street's extension. On the east, it's Carey Street's extension. We were asked to consider doing the one on the east first, or presenting it first, because evidently there's a property owner adjacent that desperately needs access to a sewer line to be able to connect to a sewer line. And we've agreed to work with the building department and the property owner to provide that once we get the sewer lines in that area. Basically, this is the plat that was preliminary approved years ago, and we're proposing to keep the basic approved plat. We understand that there are some upgrades that need to be done, and as we did on 127th, we finished 127th in cooperation with the building department, and it was an incomplete street that was left by the previous developer. And we finished that and finished building all the houses on that except 2. And we upgraded the piping for the water and the sewer. And additionally, we upgraded the storm sewer design so that we could accommodate the requirement now that there be a storm sewer connection for each lot for a sump discharge. So we have to work with the engineers to redesign the entire storm sewer system, and that'll be the primary engineering, thing that we would need to do. The first page just shows the overall of this unit of Cary Street and the loop coming around. The second page is an overall of of Unit 1, or Phase 1, which is all the single family, north of 129th, and with red mark around this unit, which we actually are going to propose when we get down to the nitty-gritty, doing this in 2 phases. Because of the current economic circumstances, we don't think that the absorption rate is going to be what it has been over the last few years. So we don't want to open up all 45 lots at one time. So we're proposing to do 22 and 23. We would put all of the underground infrastructure in, the water lines, the sewer lines, the storm sewer, get everything done, all the drainage, retention ponds, et cetera, and pave the road into the unit, the Phase 1 of this unit, and then pave the road for the rest of it when circumstances allow for that to be economically feasible. The other pages of this are basically just details. The third page rather, is detail of Cary Street going north, and the stub on, I forget what the name of this side street is, and it's got some engineering here. The third and fourth and fifth pages are basically details again of those lots in the different units. The first page is basically the grading plan that shows everything overall. And then the last page is the overall utility master plan, which doesn't include the what we would need to do with storm sewers to meet the current requirements for the storm sewers. We have done some preliminary, we need to work with the engineering company, which is V3, to redesign this and get and work with the building department, the plan commission, to meet the requirements that they want for every lot to have access to a storm water discharge. And I think we also will be adding some catch basins and so forth. So we know we need to work with the engineer and the building department to come up with a workable plan for storm catch basins, et cetera.
Are there unapproved streets in this phase?
I'm sorry?
Are there any unfinished streets in this phase? I haven't been in there in a while, so I don't know what. When you say in this phase, there's no unfinished streets except this unit and Hess Street. So we finished 127th Avenue. It was left unfinished by V3 Development. We took this property over in 2013 from the bank that had it from the original developer. And we've been working through it through this time, and we came to the 227th, and obviously it hadn't been finished. The town had done some things to finish part of the street, but there's still a big gap in the middle of 127th Avenue, which we worked with the building department. We put all the water lines in, connected and looped them, and we put the sewer lines and the laterals in, paved the street, and we built, over last year, we built all the houses on that street. And it's really worked out very nicely. So some infrastructure is in the ground that just never got, other than what you completed for this additional.
There was there was a sewer line that was in, but it didn't have all the laterals in, so we had to bore the street to do all the laterals. The water line was not in, so we bored, there was a water line on the west side of Cary Street, of Hess Street, and they had us bore under Hess Street and bring it all the way down 127th Avenue and connect it to the water lines on Cary Street, so that it's now looped. And of course, when we do this, we have to loop and that's why one of the reasons we want to do all the underground infrastructure at the same time. So for one thing, we can provide the sewer access to this adjacent property owner by putting all the sewer lines in now. And we can also loop the water line, which has to be looped eventually. And if we don't loop it now, you have to do all kinds of temporary things, which I think it's better just to go ahead and do it, have it ready, and then all we have to do is pave the street, put the curbs and gutters in after when we get to that point.
Yeah, Greg, there's really nothing in these unplatted areas.
Nothing?
I don't think so. I think the detention basins actually were constructed.
I'm sorry?
I think the detention basins were actually constructed in these phases, because I think they were as-builted. I don't know what they look like now, but that may be the only thing that's really been built in these phases.
I
I
didn't know that anything had been built back there.
The detention basins show up on the aerials, so I know they're built.
Yeah, the ponds are built.
The ponds are built.
And the streets are actually cut in.
Yeah, but yeah, they went belly up, we pulled on their bond.
I remember pulling on the bond.
And the reason 127 didn't get done is we ran out of money in the bond. It wasn't fully funded. That was back in the day when we didn't have an extra 10% in it, and fuel charges went way up, so asphalt went screaming high, and we didn't have money in the bond to cover it. So that's why that gap was there.
Are you talking about 127th Avenue?
127th, yeah, that's why the gap was there.
Right, yeah, they got what they could from the bank, and they used it all. Actually, they would have been better off not to do that, because it made it more expensive for us to do the rest of the infrastructure, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But we went at our expense and went ahead and finished the rest of the street, and got it all approved, and as I said, we built all the houses there. It's a very nice street, as all the other streets in Montessori Woods are. We think it's one of the nicest communities in Cedar Lake, which Cedar Lake, we've been in Cedar Lake a long time, and we see that there's a lot of nice communities in Cedar Lake now. One of the things that I happened to notice in driving through Montessori Woods over the last few months, there hasn't been a for sale sign in Montessori Woods, and I can't remember when. So it's a good, successful, happy community, and I think the homeowners are happy there, and it has worked out well.
So the lots are platted, all these lots are platted, or they're not platted?
They're not. They didn't preliminary plat it, well, they probably did, but it expired and they never got platted before they went belly up.
So
it didn't get extended.
So you need
to start from scratch, really.
You gotta start from the beginning?
Well, I think they're engaging V3, who is the prior engineer of record, so they have all the base engineering. It's not changing much, it shouldn't take that much to bring it up to speed. Like Frank said, there's some changes since when this got approved in 2006, to how our ordinances are now, so we need to kind of close that gap, stormwater specifically. We have a thicker pavement section now, stuff like that. That's pretty easy to put into it.
It'd be nice if it got finished, in my view.
Yeah, it's been sitting at weeds and tall grasses for 15 years now.
It's all single-family homes too?
I'm a little hard of hearing, so.
All single-family homes?
All single-family homes. We've also adopted, as we've gone in since we got into Montessori Woods, when we got there at first, we continued the program that had been there as far as types of houses and things like that. And after a while, we got, there was prior to us being there were a lot of L-shaped houses with decks overhanging, needing to go into the rear yard building, and they always had to have variances. And the building department told us that the plan commission didn't want to continue to do variances and asked us to rework our plan offering so that we had houses that were more easily adaptable to lots. And we've done that for the last several years. So we really haven't had a variance in probably 5 years. And we want to continue to do, we've adapted to the a shallower configuration of the lots by doing shallower configuration houses, wide and shallow so that they don't extend back and they can still do things in the back without going into the building lines. Excuse me. Just as we would when we have a subdivision or lots that have narrow lots, we build and adapt to offering narrow plans. So we've adapted to that, and we basically have plans that are, for the most part, less than 38 feet deep in their configuration, so that it doesn't require the variances for things that people want to do.
Well, it sounds like you guys know what to do. You've been through this with the other phase.
Yes.
I would say just get with the building department and get with Don, and let's get some of this planning underway to get this thing revived. And
is V3 moving on the redesign now, or?
Well, they're waiting. We have them on retainer. They're waiting for us to let them, give them the go, and we also need to work hand in hand with the building department and the plan commission to, the main thing that we need, there are all the specifications, we know about that with the pipe and all that. We need to see if there's any other tweaks that have to happen. And the main thing is we have to find out exactly what they want as far as the storm sewer. There's a storm sewer design that's already in place, and for the most part it's good, but it's not what is going to handle what they're requiring. So we know that we're going to have to do that, and we have them ready to work on doing it.
Has some access to it, so they can tie in all their sump pumps. So yeah, I mean, that probably came into vogue in 2008, so a couple of years after this was approved.
that's it, that I know of.
Yeah.
So we're ready to have them get started on getting the design and work with whoever we need to work with to get that, and hopefully get it all approved and the plat replatted, re-recorded, I guess. Reapproved and re-recorded. And then we'd like to be able to start in the ground by the spring. So we got a little bit of time here. And
have you had a conversation with that gentleman yet?
No. I've mostly talked to Tim, but
He's gonna be your guy.
okay, I'll get your card and I'll talk to you about it.
Perfect.
Okay. So we're interested in doing whatever we can. We think it's a great community. We'd like to continue it on and get this and then follow it up with Hess Street when we finish this up. Right now, we don't know exactly how that's going to be because of the economic situation that we are being put into by the Fed, but we think things will continue on and in a timely manner. So we'll use this little respite to get all the ducks in a row and get ready to get working on it.
I don't think no one here has any issues with any of that, right?
No, I'd like to see this project get underway and get that section completed there.
Yeah.
You know, just to make it a whole.
Right.
And like Greg said, you need to talk to Chris there and whoever to get the ball rolling so that you can present to the plan commission what,
Okay.
your intent is.
Good.
Okay.
That's all I have then. Okay. So we'll get started working it. I'll get, yeah.
Yeah, get this covered.
Thank you. I'll give you a call.
Perfect.
Good luck.
Any other questions you have for us?
No, sir.
Okay.
Not at this time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Update items. Number one, we're working on it.
Dave and I met, number one, what was it, last week here at Town Hall, set that table. We're working on it.
Good. Number two, 133rd Commercial Corridor Moratorium.
Dave and I met today with Ashley, and same thing. We've got a tentative battle plan we're putting together, and we expect, we're still working on it. We expect to...
You're gonna get a report from us with a recommendation when we're done,
Okay.
and that's coming.
Good.
Yeah.
I like battle plan.
And I would imagine number three relates to the number
My
two.
office, you know.
Correct.
Rose Garden Estates, Unit 1, performance letter of credit expires October 14th.
Got it extended.
They're good.
I forgot to remove it.
Pardon?
I forgot to remove it. We extended that last month.
Sure, good job, and you can, check if you own one, huh?
All those compliments. We've got $6 million of their dollars still.
Yeah, that's right. Offshore Estates, we know what's happening with that.
Yeah.
Railside, Unit 1, Block 2, maintenance letter of credit expires December 3rd.
We forwarded on Public Works, utility inspection comments to them over the past week and a half. We need to do a quick, roadway check, and then hopefully that'll roll over in December,
Okay.
before December. Or expire, sorry, maintenance.
Okay. Number 7, Rose Garden Estates, performance letter of credit expires December 9th.
My anticipation that they're either going to extend that one in full again, like Unit 1, or do a small modification, but I don't think we even have as-built on it, so I highly doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah.
How much is this?
It's less than $6 million, but it's probably more than 3.
That's crazy.
That one didn't include all the ponds, so it might be a cheaper one.
They
Still a
like
couple
us
million.
holding their money.
Yeah, still a couple million.
I remember when they stood up there selling us that project.
They put their money behind it, and we're holding it.
Yeah. We built $1 million. Number 8, Beacon Point, Unit 4, performance letter of credit expires December 1st, 2022.
That one's most likely gonna roll into maintenance. They got the biggest thing done, which was reprofiling and paving 141st and Parish. It's now restriped. They've also replaced some ADA ramps. We're gonna be inspecting it probably either end of this week, pending weather, or next week sometime. So we'll have a better, idea of where they're at next meeting.
So we have to do something next meeting.
No, I don't have to. We got till December, so that's something we can likely handle in November if we can't turn it quick.
Oh, yeah, November. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Lost a month. Number 9, Summer Winds, Unit 2, performance letter of credit expires December 20th, 2022.
2 and 3 kind of together, so 9 and 10. I don't know what's going on. I haven't heard anything from them.
There's time.
Huh?
There's time.
There's time, but I'd love to hear something from them. They've been silent since April.
They've still got several vacant lots in there.
Yeah. Got some other issues too.
Yeah. All right, public comment. No public comment? Commissioners got anything? Anybody?
Yeah.
Go.
Can we have the work study sessions at 6 o'clock from now on? Chris?
Staff would appreciate it.
If what?
Heck yeah.
If we could move the work study sessions to 6 o'clock.
Done.
The first one of the month? Yeah.
Yes.
Done, yeah, I have no problem with that.
Okay, great, is that okay?
What time's the meeting?
Fine with
Work
me.
session will be fixed, public will be
Wasn't
set.
that for engineers or something? What was the purpose of moving it to begin with?
I'm not sure.
You can blame it on engineers or attorneys, whichever.
No. You got a yellow shirt on, it'd be perfect.
If we,
The problem for me for 6 o'clock, which I don't mind at all, but sometimes I will be late, I guarantee.
I understand, yeah, understand.
That's the problem, moving it
You're running
in,
behind,
is
you're running
public.
behind, we'll wait.
Yeah, sometimes I just can't get back here
It's can be a long drive sometimes.
in the traffic.
Yeah.
When's the next meeting?
October 19th. I was just telling him I have no clue what happened with my agenda.
I didn't catch that.
I'm gonna blame technical difficulties.
Is there a meeting before that or
No.
something, Chris? Isn't there
Oh, no.
something? What is it?
No, but we will have, the public meeting will have a special joint meeting before, correct?
Yes.
On the 19th.
On the 19th.
So you'll have a special public meeting at 7 o'clock with your regularly scheduled meeting to follow. And I believe that is over TIF modification?
It is,
Yes.
it is.
Okay.
7 o'clock still, yep.
Yeah, 'cause we don't know when safe building will be done.
True. That is.
It's getting a lot busier and busier all the time.
Got about 20 to 30 homes I would like to knock down in town, so.
Yeah, Chris only has 30.
We took a couple off this month.
Yeah, I
As
know.
long as none of them are mine, Chris,
I don't believe your name's made that agenda yet.
better not.
Is that meeting gonna move to 3 now?
Yes, may have to, yeah.
Someone
Okay,
throw a game at him.
but we're running out of money. We're running out of money to tear down the home.
What was
New
there
budget-
in the
new budget
vicinity?
years.
Yeah.
Budget year's around the corner.
Yeah.
There was a few of them there. I don't know if anybody ever got them.
Where's that, Greg?
In the vicinity of where they were talking about earlier, this Lee Cove thing, just to, be to the west of there, I think. There was a piece of,
Oh, to the other side, Klein?
it would have been east of Klein,
Still east of Klein, okay.
west of where these guys are proposing to, or maybe a little north of there. But there were 3 or 4 that, I assume that property got purchased when Bruce Young was doing that development in there.
Didn't he abandon that project?
He did, and the house is in it.
Around it.
I thought the bank either took it or he abandoned it.
I haven't been in there in a while, but
Some
There-
combination of things happened.
there was some bad stuff in there.
If they're still there, our
And you own
building
that property
inspectors have
behind
been
the,
picking them off and putting them on the
South
list.
of that picture.
Yeah.
Big property.
Put them 2 on Hilltop, man.
We do have, I know one on Hilltop for
Mhm.
sure.
You have one. Is there just one, Ashley?
There's
Currently.
one with a motor on it, and the other one is only half there, half a house.
You wanna get me some addresses, Greg? I'll get it over to my
Right,
inspector.
but we must be looking at the one, the half a house
I
thing.
believe the half a house
Yeah.
is the one that's
Yeah.
on there, and the gentleman now is looking to knock it down himself, and if he doesn't, we'll oblige him.
Yeah.
It won't take much.
Like transport tank.
Strong wind.
Yeah, we've had a couple of those, yeah.
But the one with the motor on it, no one's, I mean, it had a permit in the window, but no one's done anything with that thing in years. It's just sitting there with, they dug around it, I assume, and do a footing and a foundation,
I'm pretty sure that's the
one
one.
you saw, yeah.
and nothing ever happened.
It's on the list.
It's on, that one's on the list too, Greg, yeah.
Uh,
That one's on the list.
Thanks.
Just takes a while to do it, you know.
Yeah, I know, I was there for a while.
Okay, anything else?
Thanks for the 6 o'clock, guys.
Yeah, 6 o'clock's good, I like it.
Okay, nothing else. Adjourned.
Come here, Dave, you been staying up there?